Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Playmakerz Blog Podcast. This is the NBA playoff series. We are ready to start. The 16 teams have been named. The 8 teams in the West, the 8 teams in the East. We are ready to go this weekend. We are two Unfiltered Access guys who are also a part of the March Madness. They are a part of the NBA series this time. Give it up for Gabriel. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Justin, how's it going?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well.
Now, before we get started, what is y'all take on the overall take on the NBA playoffs that's about that happening?
I'm really excited for the playoffs in terms of what happens in the East, and I think the West is going to be good. I wish Kevin Durant and DeMarcus Cousins eventually, but originally Kevin Durant didn't go to the Warriors because I don't know. It feels like sometimes it's like they're so unbeatable. But the great thing about that I feel in this playoffs is that there will be something unimaginable, and that the Warriors might possibly get beaten. So I think just having that super team and that villain in the playoffs is going to be a huge advantage for the NBA. And I'm really excited to see what happens.
What you got, Justin?
Well, I'm most certainly interested in the Western Conference matchup, the 2-7 matchup between the Nuggets and the Spurs. It's a complete juxtaposition of age and experience versus youth and hunger. I believe that maybe Pop could pull it out. If they could stretch it to 7, Pop can pull it out of 7 games. And we've seen that before, him being a lower seed and being able to, pull up that upset. But, Mike Malone, Coach of the Year candidate, Jokic, MVP candidate, something about this Nuggets team. They're still a dark horse, in my opinion. Even though they're a 2 seed, they're a dark horse. And the East, we'll get to that. But that matchup is very interesting to me.
Yeah, that's one of my matchups, and I'm really looking forward to seeing, like you said, those contrast styles of play. And it's going to be a good juxtaposition and a really good series.
Well, for starters, there'll be a new king in the East.
That is true.
Secondly, there's no LeBron in the playoffs. And now you have small market teams on the come up. Can they keep it going in the playoffs? It's a storyline I'm looking at. A team like the Milwaukee Bucks, the Denver Nuggets, just to name a couple. This is going to be very interesting. But let's get started. And we're going to start with the team, the conference that has the best top 2 teams, being the Eastern Conference, with the Milwaukee Bucks being the overall 1 seed of the whole playoffs, and the Toronto Raptors being the overall number 2 in the whole playoffs. So, Eastern Conference opening round, Milwaukee Bucks the 1 seed, Detroit Pistons the 8 seed. Detroit had to fight their way in, and they got in.
They sure did.
Yeah.
Problem is, you're playing the best team in the NBA.
Yeah, and the possible MVP, too, with Giannis. So it's going to be really tough. Now that
a very deep team as well, very well balanced. When healthy, I think if Brogdon is not himself, we're going to have problems there. But other than that, Bledsoe has capability of dominating a game. Giannis, of course, will give you his 30. But we'll see. We'll see what we got. But, Mike Budenholzer's been there before. He's been to a conference finals. So never underestimate coaching in the playoffs.
The Milwaukee Bucks come into the playoffs with a 60-22 record. The Detroit Pistons come in 41-41. If they didn't have to play the Knicks to end the season, they probably wouldn't have gotten in the playoffs.
That is true.
Yeah, definitely.
They've just been very inconsistent overall.
Like as you said, Giannis. I think Giannis the favorite to win MVP. I think Mike Budenholzer might be the favorite to win Coach of the Year. This team is the leading scoring team in the league at 118.1 points per game.
Yeah, their offense is so versatile too. Like we're talking about Giannis, but the big acquisition I think besides getting Coach Budenholzer was getting Brook Lopez, because he's just all of a sudden a splash brother out there, 7-footer hitting threes, and it's spaced out the floor, and it's allowed Giannis to dominate the paint. So the Bucks are definitely one of the most versatile offenses in the NBA. And I think that will definitely help come playoff time, because they could switch back and forth between different tempos and different styles, and test out the Pistons.
That's to give you what the Detroit Pistons are doing. The Milwaukee Bucks made a 16-game difference from last year to this season. They went from a 7 seed last year to the top overall seed this year. All they do is improve and get better. That could be problematic for anybody in the playoffs. Detroit, they thought they went in. Blake Griffin, an all-star, first year under Dwayne Casey. Very impressive to get this team in the playoffs.
I think Detroit has a chance to get a couple games in the series. We tend to underestimate Blake Griffin, in my opinion. This guy was a freak of nature coming into the league. Obviously has sustained a lot of injuries throughout his career, and he's missed a lot of games, but I think the injuries have done him a justice by shaping his game into a more complete player. He's doing it all. He's averaging 24 per game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. For a big, that's pretty complete. I just think they don't have enough firepower, and he can't contain Giannis. I don't think anyone can contain Giannis at this point. But Dwayne Casey may have a couple tricks up his sleeve. But I can see Detroit getting a couple games, maybe stretching it out. But this is Milwaukee's series to lose.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch Blake Griffin's evolution. Sorry, it's just I really do think that they'll give them some trouble. Like you said, they could push it to 6 or 7.
It just looks like a tailor-made team for Milwaukee. I mean, if they run the offense through Blake, just to stick Giannis or stick Middleton, and you have contain. So that's how it is.
I mentioned that y'all say that because I covered this game and the other game in the 4-5 matchup. By the way, all of our articles for the opening round are posted on the Unfiltered Access. Check it out. I got the Bucks sweeping them. In the 4 regular season meetings that they have, the Milwaukee Bucks have scored at least 115 in 3 of them. And they scored over 100 in all 4 of them.
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, I still think we're underestimating Blake Griffin's impact in this. These are a bunch of young guys on the Pistons too. I mean, a lot of these guys have not really seen the playoffs. Maybe Reggie Jackson or who else? Andre Drummond.
Reggie Jackson, if they pull a game or 2 out, Reggie Jackson going to have to play out of his mind.
Reggie Jackson is going to have to drop 30 one of these games. He's going to have to drop at least 30 if you're going to win a game. And same with Blake. Blake is going to have to drop maybe have a triple-double, and then for sure you need a double-double performance from Drummond. So even then, that's still not a lot of firepower that Detroit has. But I think that if Blake Griffin's experience and leadership from his days with Chris Paul can translate to this Pistons team, we're going to have a series.
Yeah, and we were talking about also the injury of Malcolm Brogdon and what that can pose as a threat to the Bucks right now. And I think conversely, like you said, the Reggie Jackson has to have a 30-point game up his sleeve. Chris Middleton has to as well, and he hasn't really proven himself much in the playoffs. So this is a big year for him, going into a contract year. So, I think if Blake Griffin plays the dominant type of basketball that he's been playing as a power forward, playing point forward. That him and Drummond can definitely cause some disruption down low, and it'll be up to Milwaukee to see who else besides Giannis can step up. And Brogdon missing, if he's missing at least for a couple games, that might be a really big issue for them.
You know, it's just one of them. Can the Pistons probably pull one out? Maybe, because you talking about the 7 games, but it is one of those series when it's like the other team is just better. They just better.
They are. They are top down, top to bottom, better, flat out talent wise. These guys have yet to get past the first round, though. Keep in mind, this Bucks team has yet to get out of the first round, so a couple playoff woes here and there. But I'm thinking that this is the year they make a run. We'll see. I personally don't have them coming out of the East, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, I just think that Detroit does have a little bit of hunger in them to pull out at least one game. They haven't won a game. They haven't won a playoff game even the last time they appeared in the playoffs. So even then, there's a drought, and I believe it ends.
A look ahead tease from Justin. I like it. That series begins Sunday, 7 p.m. on TNT Game 1 in Milwaukee. The 4-5 matchup. One team has underachieved a lot, and the other team has overachieved a lot. The Boston Celtics and the Indiana Pacers get together.
Yeah,
a lot of things have gone wrong in Boston, but they got themselves a playoff. So they are in the playoffs nonetheless. They will be without Marcus Smart. That could be a huge problem because they facing an Indiana team, despite losing their best player in Victor Oladipo. Nate McMillan, who I believe should be in the Coach of the Year candidacy, has kept this team going along, and this series could have flipped either way. Indiana could have had a home court advantage. That's how close it was.
Agreed.
Yep.
It's Boston and Indiana. What's your take?
Oh, man, this is going to be a close series, definitely, now that Marcus Smart is definitely out for round 1. I think that's going to have an impact for them. But, I think in the end, the Celtics will just be benefited from having more talent because I think that although they lost Smart, I think they have someone in Jaylen Brown who can fill in that role nicely alongside Kyrie Irving. And the resurgence of Gordon Hayward over the second half of the season has been really remarkable to watch. And I think he's the X factor in this series. The fact that he can go in there off the bench and provide that relief. I think they just have that much more talent and depth now, and that the Oladipo injury is just going to really affect the Indiana Pacers in the long run for this series. I've really found what Bojan Bogdanovic has done since Oladipo's injury to be really remarkable as well. And he should get a lot of props for that, but I just don't think that they have enough on offense to overcome the Celtics. So I'm going to take the Celtics, but it's going to be a much closer series because Indiana does have a great home court and they still have a great defense, especially with Miles Turner back there. So it's going to be a hard-fought series, but I think the talent for the Celtics wins out in the end.
Yeah, I'm going to argue for the Pacers just for the sake of it. I agree with you saying that the Celtics are going to take this, but let's look at what Indiana could do. I mean, Nate McMillan is a Coach of the Year candidate, in my personal opinion. You lose Oladipo midway through the season before the All-Star break, and you're still able to hold the 5 seed and still remain a playoff team. That right there is remarkable. That is culture building, in my opinion. But think about the personnel we have. We have Darren Collison, Corey Joseph, Tyreek Evans, Wes Matthews, Bogdanovic. We have guys that are we have guard position guys that are experienced, that are veterans, and Nate McMillan has done a tremendous job, in my opinion, getting these guys to buy into a system, buying into a culture where they're all within a team mentality. And it shows. I mean, they're the 5th seed. We thought they were going to bounce out of the playoffs, in my opinion. I thought they were going to go on a 10-game losing streak once they lost Victor. But, I mean, we got also Miles Turner, who's should be a defensive player of the year candidate too, in my opinion. And this is just an amazing season for the Pacers. But you're right. I think that the talent of Boston is going to just prove overwhelming for Indiana.
Yeah.
So Boston has had a lot of up and downs this season. Some because of some injuries, others because they lost their way for some reason on several occasions.
Oh yeah,
Kyrie
they totally have.
The leader. I mean, but now it's time to get this ship right. It's the playoffs now. You're already underachieved from everybody's expectations for the regular season, but you can write that all away by doing what everybody knows you can do in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I just wonder who for the Pacers is going to be the one to step up in Oladipo's absence. Will it be Bogdanovic? Will it be Tyreek Evans? He technically has the most experience out of all of them on that team. So, or will it just be a complete team effort? And that's what got Boston really far last year without Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward. But I think that that's an approach that Indiana will take, and it will be a good clash of styles like a lot of these series. And now that I'm really realizing it, that it's going to be a really close series too. But I definitely have the Celtics winning.
You're right, Darnell. It's playoff time, and it's time to get the ship right. And I think that Boston will totally get that right. It's playoff time. Winning is all that matters. It's time to win a championship if you're Boston. It's no time to really address the Kyrie Irving situation, the free agency, or anything like that. That's regular season stuff, and it's time to get things right. And I think Boston is gonna show through with that. I think Kyrie Irving's leadership will finally show through. And if Boston can buy into that, they're a threat. But we'll see.
So I got Boston in 7. I got Boston in 7. Because Indiana ain't no pushover. Indiana they can come play. They gonna win some games because they're a feisty, well-balanced, well-coached team. But the playmaking ability and the talent of Boston should get them enough to win this series.
That's true. I mean, within Indiana, I don't even see a spark plug. Like I remember last season, they even had Lance Stevenson. He brought energy off the bench. He brought a second wind into the team. I don't really see that player that Indiana has, that spark plug that can, get everybody on track and, bring a second wind of energy. I don't see that player that Indiana has. And I just think that Boston's talent is just too tremendous and too much to play with.
So that game will get the Sunday's playoff series started at 1 p.m. I believe on TNT as well. Yes, 1 p.m. on TNT on Sunday. Those are your 2 Sunday games, game 1 series. Let's stick with the East and go to the Saturday's games. And I believe, Justin, you covered those 2 series.
Yes, sir. That's it. Oh, so we have the Raptors versus the Magic.
Hey, Orlando's back in the playoffs.
Oh, my God. It's incredible.
We have Orlando back. This is the post-Dwight Howard era. First time in the post-Dwight Howard era when they traded away Dwight, and they ended up getting who did they end up getting? Draft picks and whatnot. Yeah, it was all bad for Orlando. I think they ended up getting a Flalo. But anyways, they had to do a completely different rebuild. And they ended up finding gold with Vucevic. Vucevic is a first-time All-Star. He's having a career year. His post game is very, very well polished, and he's just a matchup nightmare for bigs. I think they're a matchup nightmare for a lot of the bigs in Toronto. Marc Gasol is still trying to get integrated. He's also aged quite a bit. He's 34. But Orlando definitely has a matchup advantage in the post with Vucevic. But Toronto does have a lot of playoff experience. They've had the reputation of choking a lot.
Toronto got a champion on 18.
They have a champion. They have for the first time in the franchise, they've had a champion. They've had two champions. I think Danny Green's addition has been mightily underestimated, and it's been underrated throughout the team. His addition has brought in another championship leader, and that brings another dynamic. But there's just enough young guys. Like, we got Anunoby, we got Powell, we got Van Vliet, and we have Siakam, who is an MIP candidate for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Those five guys, those four, they're the bench mob, and they're gonna raise hell. I think just that energy that Toronto has is gonna out energize Orlando. But also Orlando is a team that is not going to beat themselves. They don't make mistakes. They make sure they close out defensive possessions with rebounds. They slow the pace down, and they don't turn the ball over at all. They're a very big team. Hopefully, if Bamba comes back, they'll be even more defensive. But Orlando's crazy. I mean, I think Orlando, even making the playoffs this season, I don't think anyone expected them to make the playoffs, other than maybe Darnell. Darnell.
I ain't even go front. I ain't expect nothing from Orlando. I kid you not. I was like, man, this NBA season, oh well, we're just gonna keep running. And I looked up. I was like, oh, they got a shot of making it.
Well, even in the beginning of the season, we didn't know their identity. We thought their identity was going to be run offense through Aaron Gordon and run the team through that. And then we even thought Vucevic was tradable. He's totally blossomed, and then now the offense is inside out, which is a very old-fashioned style, which is complete contrast to Toronto, which is a fast up and down pace team who likes the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's very Auburn, Virginia-esque.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a crazy matchup. I just see Toronto winning this purely on experience, talent even. But I think Orlando could stretch a couple games. They could probably get a game or two just based on how hungry they can be. Orlando's home court will definitely help the young guys. It's been the first time in, 7 years since they've made the playoffs. So, I mean, it's great in North Florida, man. It's great.
No, yeah. It's been really awesome to watch the Orlando Magic, shock the entire NBA world by making the playoffs. No one outside of Orlando probably had them making the playoffs, as you said, going into the season. And Vucevic, another player that's on a contract year, just having a tremendous season. It's been really, really fun to watch him. He's basically the East Coast version of Nikola Jokic with the way he's able to play, and they can't pass as well, but he can, as you said, play that inside-out game. So they're definitely going to give the Raptors a challenge, but like you said, Justin, at the end of the day, it's talent and experience what they have, and Kawhi Leonard, just having a player like him who, while Vucevic is great, he's definitely not the best player on the court. That's going to be Kawhi Leonard. And they have enough players like Danny Green, like Jeremy Lin, Serge Ibaka coming off the bench that what they can lack for giving up in the post that they can make on the perimeter. So I definitely have it going a couple games to the Magic, but the Raptors pulling it out.
The fun ends here. Magic's made the playoffs. Problem is, the other team got a Kawhi Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi Leonard was, man, who had to guard LeBron James in the finals. In the finals where they just shot Miami out the gym.
Yeah, still the best two-way player in the league, in my opinion.
Don't worry. It's only for 1 year. It's only for 1 year. Don't worry about it.
I don't know, man. Not if they make the finals.
No, I mean, I'm hoping so. I mean, I'm a Raptors fan for life, so I'm hoping so. But, the pessimist comes with these free agents we've had. We've lost Carter, lost Bosch, it happens.
Yeah, but the only reason I think they left, too, is because they didn't experience the success. But this is definitely probably the most talented definitely the most talented Raptors team of all time. So if they make a championship run, I think they could lure Kawhi into staying. But, we'll see. We still got the whole playoffs to go before we talk about free agency.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate the kind words from Justin. It was being nice to the team.
Well, yeah.
But reality has to hit at some point.
You're right.
I give us 2 games. Toronto in 6.
Yeah, I would say Toronto in 6, maybe Toronto in 5. Just rub a little salt in the wound there.
Yeah, no, I've Raptors in 6.
It is what it is. We made the playoffs. Anyway, moving on. The 3-6 seed.
We have the Sixers versus the Nets. A very interesting season for the Sixers. How they got here, man. Just when you thought they were going to be the third best team in the East, Milwaukee comes in and just Giannis balls out. And then we still have hope with Boston. Toronto's up there with Milwaukee, fighting for that position. And then we just saw Philly as this middle-of-the-road team. We thought Simmons and Embiid were all figured out. There was a kryptonite for Simmons, and Embiid was very inconsistent. So, Philly missed that spark and that, pedigree that a lot of teams needed. But, they got Jimmy. Jimmy Butler is proving to be, that playoff guy, the closer of the team, if you will. Slowing the game down is, very important in the playoffs. And sometimes you need to get buckets through isolation. And Jimmy is more than capable of doing that. I think, sending Embiid in the post, sending an island on Embiid will work as well. Tobias Harris can work inside and out. But this Philly team's not deep. They're not as deep as what people, claim it to be. They have a good front five, but the bench is very lacking and limited offensively. And I think that's where Brooklyn is going to take advantage is through the bench. We have Dinwiddie, who's a Sixth Man of the Year candidate. LeVert is giving you great production. That injury was quite scary, but he's back, and he can give you a spark offensively. And then obviously D'Angelo, his playmaking ability, he's just a threat the minute he crosses half court, in my opinion. He's a 3-point slinger, and he can get to the rim. He's very crafty. And I think his leadership and his maturity is going to show throughout this matchup, but I think he's going to grow even further because he's going to be able to, maneuver against this Philly team. I just don't think Philly is going to be a team that's going to be playing 8 players throughout the playoffs. I think they're going to stick with a good 7, but Brooklyn could go 10 deep. And that's where I think it's going to be very interesting in this matchup.
Hey, Laker fans, where y'all at?
Magic had to step down once D'Angelo made the playoffs. It looks bad on his part.
What
I mean, he had to get the Mozgov contract out, which was good, but you don't trade away that guy. And I mean, you could have kept him. You could have drafted Tatum, and you would have had D'Angelo Russell and Tatum to build your franchise around, which doesn't sound bad.
If y'all don't mind, Laker fans, let's see. You traded D'Angelo Russell. You passed on Jason Tatum. Matter of fact, you actually passed on De'Aaron Fox too. So.
They did.
You got LeBron James, and but
Also
where the
traded
Lakers
Julius
at this
Randle,
postseason?
or let him walk, basically.
I mean, and Clarkson too. So,
What are the Lakers at this season? D'Angelo Russell's in the playoffs because he's part of the Brooklyn Licks, one of the most surprising teams in the NBA.
Yeah.
The beauty about this, I think the beauty about these playoffs is that these lower seeds are all very young. And it's amazing because I think every team, even though there's a lot of teams that are veteran and experienced, they're also very present and young. There's no aging star on any of these top teams. So I think it's going to be amazing to see these teams grow up. Even like the Nets or the Magic, who are experiencing their first time in the playoffs. Even Detroit, for example, those teams are very, very new to playoff atmosphere. So I think that's amazing to see.
Yeah, no, I think the Nets have been like the Magic this season in terms of no one expected them to go into the playoffs. More people were expecting the Nets to be going through a rebuilding year right now, but. Man, in Brooklyn, it's looking pretty nice. The future, the way they've been able to navigate after the Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett trade, where they traded all their future draft picks, they've been able to reload pretty nicely. By getting D'Angelo Russell and using other teams' draft picks to get players like Jared Allen and Karis LeVert and Kurucs, who I like, and. Yeah, I guess coming into the season, they were young and talented, but very inexperienced. And D'Angelo Russell all had the credit has to go to him in terms of how good they've been, just for growing up and maturing, like you said, and having his best season. And also some of the veteran pickups that they got in their leadership, like Ed Davis and Jared Dudley, have been tremendous off the bench players that have provided that veteran leadership and experience that the Nets were missing, that they needed, and that's why they're here now. So I do think like all these playoff matchups, it's going to be a mismatch of styles, but the Nets are going to definitely cause some disruption in that series. I could see this going to 6 games or 7 games, just like you said, because Philly doesn't have that bench, and that second unit is going to be very, very valuable for Brooklyn.
Now, I have my fun with Laker fans, by the way. Brother Cam Moore, if you're listening as a Knicks fan, this might be the time to turn off. Brooklyn Nets are the best team in the
Right
York.
now, yes.
100%. 100%. They are the better team. The Knicks are the Knicks, though. It'll always be in Knicks town, just like how in LA it'll always be a Laker town. I'm a firm believer of that. Sometimes tradition just is everlasting that way. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a free agent, Brooklyn and the Clippers, those two options are for sure championship options. So it just depends on if you're a free agent that wants the glitz and glamour, or you want a low key profile.
Yeah, no, being a lifelong Knicks fan, I can attest to that. So we'll see. It's going to be the fact that they have the room for 2 max slots is going to be very big for their future, and the fact that they can compete with the Knicks right now in that market, it's pretty incredible to watch. But oh man, I hope it doesn't happen.
Now, like I had my fun with my Magics, the fun must end. And the reason why the fun must end, not because of Joel Embiid, not because of Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons ain't improved nowhere in shooting at all. They got a Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Buckets. Not new to the playoff atmosphere.
He's a dog.
But Philly needed.
Yeah, we need more
They
dogs.
needed a dog.
Well, that's true, but also you don't need a Chihuahua barking at all the pit bulls. I mean, Jimmy Butler was a cancer to the Wolves, so I mean, we'll see. I mean, it looks like it's working out right now, but if they get bounced out in the first round to Brooklyn, and I mean, I think Brooklyn is capable of doing it. Brooklyn's capable of doing it.
If the Brooklyn Nets take down the Philadelphia 76ers, Ben Simmons, you talking about
it'll be all Ben Simmons' fault, and it'll be Jimmy Butler scrutinizing him 100% of the way. It'll be Jimmy Butler as the bad guy, even though Ben Simmons is the scapegoat.
Yeah.
All you gotta do, Ben Simmons, to get a damn jump shot. That is it. We ain't telling you to shoot threes. We think
Just
you
one
damn
three,
jump
man.
shot.
That's all I want to see.
Or just be a threat.
Shaq has more career threes than him right now, so that's pretty sad.
Even being a threat in the mid range, just like DeRozan didn't even have a 3-point shot. He's still effective. There's still players like that.
If he does get a jump shot, you'll be all right. But you don't. But they got Jimmy Buckets. Nah, I ain't gonna forget Tobias Harris. That dude can play some ball. He is one of the former Magics that I was mad that they let go.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to stay.
Yeah,
They still got JJ Redick. All he do is hit threes, no matter what. So they should win this one in 6.
Yeah, I get this one going to 6 as well. It's going to be a close matchup again, like all these series. Much more intriguing than I feel like in previous years. So I see it going to 6.
But D'Angelo continue to shine because I was going to continue to trill the Lakers fans. Because I can't stand them, and I'm going to enjoy it. But you do you, but you got to go home and sit.
Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? It's a long process. It's a hard, thought-out process. Yeah, I know. I was there. From March of this year, thinking about how I'm going to do this, doing all my research, trying to get everything right. What platforms can we use and how we going to record it and how we going to make it sound good and make it all this happen. And then I came upon Anchor. The Anchor app on my phone, the easiest choice I could ever make to do a podcast. It's free to use. You don't got to pay for nothing. You can record episodes whenever you're ready. You can edit it and then you can release them when you want to. And you don't have to worry about trying to figure out how you're going to distribute it on other platforms because Anchor has partnerships with Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Castbox, Pocket Cast, whatever you name it. Because the Playmakerz Blog Podcast is the podcast that I use. We are on all them platforms. We're on 9 platforms just by using the Anchor app. So pretty much all the questions that you have questions about doing a podcast, go to the Anchor app or go to the Anchor website, anchor.fm.com, and just search through it, ask questions. Because I tell you, a free app that does all this, there's nothing more you can ask for. I even got friends, they doing their podcast on the Anchor app. Faith Talk, you might have heard of it because it's very good. And it's great that it's an app like this, it's a website like this that makes it easier for people to do podcasts and do what they love best, talking about the things that they love to talk about. So give Anchor a try, see how much you like it. We'll love to hear your podcast.
That takes care of the east side. Let's go over to the west. We wanted to have one more person, but some issues happened and they had to take him out. But Stevie will be on later on down the playoff. So, Gabe, you take control of the entire.
That's the Wild Wild West right now. I got it. Okay. So, in terms of the 1-8 matchup, listen, like I said before, the Golden State Warriors are by far the favorites to the team to beat in the entire NBA. With the addition of DeMarcus Cousins, I think it's added a good wrinkle for them in terms of being more engaged and more active. But I'm interested to see what the Clippers do in the first round in terms of trying to take advantage of DeMarcus Cousins in the paint. Because the Clippers, it's very surprising that they got here. and no one would have expected before the season, and you can keep on trolling Laker fans by saying this, that the Clippers would be in the playoffs instead of the Lakers. So, yeah, it's really great to watch.
Who's happy now?
So, the Clippers, even after the Tobias Harris trade, I thought they were done and they were going to fade out of the playoff picture, but they were able to get some pieces back, especially in that Zubac trade where, again, sorry, Lakers, but God, they have their imprint all over these playoffs, even though they're not in it. I think this Clippers team has a lot of talent and a lot of grit in them, with Coach Doc Rivers and his experience and Patrick Beverley. But, hey, I can't say anything else than the Warriors are the two-time defending champs, and they have Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, who now has goggles and can see well for the first time in his career. So, Clippers, it was nice getting here, but Warriors in 4 or 5.
I want to say Warriors in 5. I wouldn't say 4. I think that Lou Will can get you a game. Lou Will can get you a 4. If I predict a 40 piece coming out for him. He needs to show well.
Is it me or do the Clippers always
have
that
it 6 of the year because Doc likes that balance between first and second unit. He put Ray Allen off the bench for a little bit before.
Yeah,
that's true. I think Golden State. I think Golden State gets in 5.
The problem is, let's see, DeMarcus Cousins. All-Star, right? During my game.
Not this year, but years past, yep.
Kevin Durant. That says itself. Klay Thompson, one of the best shooters in the league. Steph Curry.
Best shooter in the league.
That name says
best shooter of all time.
Best shooter of all time. It's done. And
hold on. Matter of fact, don't they got a guy named Andre
Sean Livingston? So
they don't even have Hampton 5. We didn't mention Hampton 5. Like this team, and this is Golden State with Steve Kerr. They have different loadouts, and they all seem interchangeable with this system.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna make me sick to my stomach. The Golden State Warriors are starting to look like that goddamn New England Patriots of the NBA.
I will say this: if the Clippers get swept, this will for sure change the Kawhi Leonard discussion. But if they don't get swept and they actually look like they put up a fight, they're for sure favorites to land Kawhi. I just think that the sweeping part is important. Understanding that part, because if you get swept, it looks like there's no light at the end of the tunnel with the team.
I'm gonna ask you this: what is the likelihood? What is the percentage of a sweep?
I think the percentage is above 50%. I think maybe even above 60%. It's a damn shame, but but I think if they could get a game. I think if Lou Will really shows out, they can get a game.
My only problem too is that the Clippers fans aren't necessarily known for being that good in terms of showing up sometimes. So those Clipper games, there might be a lot of Warriors fans in the stadium as well.
It'll be another Warriors home game.
Exactly. So with that in mind too, without a real home court advantage, I think the likelihood I think it's up to 70%. That's just how good this team is, and it's no disrespect to the Clippers. They're just, after Tobias left, Lou Will is that guy who has to go off for 40 points. But aside from that, even if he gets his 40, it's hard to outscore the Warriors in any game, especially when all their players are shooting well.
That is true.
One says above 60, the other one says 70. I'm going 85. Darn it, the Splash Brothers are the Splash Brothers. And then back it up with Kevin Durant. Them 3 by itself make you go.
Well, I mean, if
Why?
Clay drops 40 and they sit him down for 3 quarters, then it's over. I mean, we all know that. He only plays 3 quarters, and they sit their guys at the end. I expect at least 2 blowouts. So. I think there's going to be, yeah.
And, he can score 40 in 2.5.
That's Clay for you. I think there's going to be a lot of wide open games. There's going to be a lot of 30-point blowouts.
Yeah, we're going to see the third quarter Warriors come out this series where, might be close at halftime, but they'll stretch out that lead in the third quarter.
That was so much the problem in last year's playoffs. That third quarter hit, you just knew the
Can't do nothing to stop it too.
It's always Steve Kerr just picking their brains, probably kicking their ass in gear, and then boom, the avalanche or the potency of a Warriors run. You feel that tidal wave.
I'll give the Clippers game 3.
No, I'd say that. We'll give them game 4 even.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna almost be a sweep, and then they're gonna give them a game 4.
Yeah.
We go like Kenny Smith like to say,
exactly.
It'll
be a gentleman's sweep.
We'll let you have one game, but it's not time to send you packing.
We'll close it out at home.
That's the 1-8 matchup, and if you pick against the Warriors,
one thing in the finals, the other thing in the first round, can't see that happening at all.
I don't care if you're a Clipper fan. Your brain's gonna tell you, dude, y'all have no chance in hell. That's the 1-8 matchup in the West. The 4-5 matchup in the West.
Another great juxtaposition of styles, man. I'm really excited for this series.
May I say there's a certain team with a certain MVP candidate on upset?
I wouldn't say upset alert, but maybe not this round. But then the next round it wouldn't necessarily be an upset. I would say James Harden is your MVP candidate. But he's not an upset alert against the Jazz, no.
No, yeah, James Harden had one of the best scoring seasons of all time, and man, this MVP this year is really hard to choose between. I think this is like the closest since the LeBron James, Derrick Rose MVP in 2011, because Giannis and Harden both have great campaigns. But regardless of who wins, he's an MVP caliber player who stepped up his game to a whole nother level this year, and I'm really excited to see if he can overcome those playoff demons that he's had in the past, especially with the Rockets as the leading man. But I think that this Rockets team has enough power behind them with Chris Paul and Clint Capella, as long as they remain healthy. And then, guys like PJ Tucker, who's one of the most underrated players in the league in terms of his impact, where he can knock the 3 down, space the floor, but he can also be your best defender on the team. You could put him in small ball lineups. So I really like this Rockets team. But the Utah Jazz, they're always a tough out in the playoffs. They have one of the best home courts in the league. And they play probably the exact opposite brand of basketball that the Rockets do, in terms of they don't shoot as many threes. They rely more on Donovan Mitchell and his ability to get to the rim and his athleticism, as long as pick and rolls and situations with Rudy Gobert, trying to get him to exploit him in the paint. So, they're definitely the better defensive team. But the Rockets have the better offense, and it'll be a real chess match between the two coaches. And I'm interested to see if D'Antoni can overcome this matchup with Dan Snyder and the Jazz, because it's going to be a really tough series, and I definitely see it going to a 6 or 7 game.
Yeah, I think Donovan is improving. He's not going to for sure be your defensive genius, in my opinion. I don't think he's going to be able to stop Harden. I don't think there's any way to stop Harden. I think Harden is very well capable of averaging 40 this series. But that's James Harden. You could put Mitchell on Paul. That would be interesting to see. But then you obviously put Ricky Rubio on Harden. We all seen what happened there.
Yeah, that's not going to be pretty.
That's not going to be pretty. But I think, yeah, you're right. The battle of the bigs is going to be important. If Rudy Gobert is hands down the best big man on the floor, the Jazz are a tough team to beat. But if Clint Capella can somewhat slow down or even outplay or out-effort Rudy Gobert, then it's going to be a quick series for the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, the thing is the Rockets also have other guys to throw at him too, with Nene and kind of Reed coming off the bench. So I think they have a couple of bodies to throw at Gobert, and they're going to make it tough for him offensively. But, I think Gobert will definitely do his best to have the advantage in the paint.
Uh-oh. 4-5. Houston, Utah. What happened, Houston? How did you fall to the fourth?
Tough West.
They had a slow start too. I mean,
that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they think that really brought them out. They were a good scare to not even make the playoffs for a while. So, yeah, that was
same with the Jazz. Two teams that just got off to slow starts this year and really rebounded. So they fought hard to get to this matchup, and it's only fitting that they're the 4 and 5 seeds.
I mean, that's what happens when you have That's what happens when you have rosters that are continuity based. I think these two have very similar rosters from the season before. So it's not like they've experienced a dramatic trade or a free agent signing that had to switch their entire philosophy. So, I mean, they had to just get to the groove of things. I think that's the case with both these teams.
I kind of want to go Utah here. That's the worst first round matchup you can ask for if you're a Houston Rocket fan.
One.
I mean, there's also James Harden, though, but what if he chokes under pressure? We've seen that happen.
We've seen it happen too many times.
That is. Oh, that's right. And the funny thing is, you don't even have to stop James Harden.
Well, I mean, when the game gets a little bit more physical, we'll see if James Harden could take it. I think that's going to be very big. But, we have Chris Paul. Chris Paul is seasoned. He knows what he's doing out there. I think he's very well able to get you 2 games. Like Chris Paul.
No, I think that Chris Paul provides that valuable element of switching up the play style in terms of he can break down the point guard and get into the middle of the paint and into the interior and throw those lobs to Capella or pass it out to a 3. And I think when healthy, he's so valuable and instrumental. And it's a shame because last year they had the chance before he got injured to beat the Warriors, but we'll never know. And he just has to stay healthy this year. But
that's always the storyline. That's always the storyline with CP3 is can he stay healthy? I don't know. I mean, I've lost hope. I was born in Toronto, but I grew up in LA, so I was a big Clipper fan, and man, he's let us down so many times. I remember specifically he's let us down when we were up by, I think, 5 or 7 against the Thunder. And it was
the 18-point lead against the Rockets.
And then that 18-point lead against the Rockets. It's just typical Chris Paul almost.
Yeah, him and James Harden have those playoff demons that they both still have to overcome. Almost did it last year, but they didn't. So until then, I think it's right that it's only right that we should question it.
Don't worry, Houston fans. I give y'all 7.
No, I'd say 7 or 6. I'd say 7 or 6 for Houston.
Houston, I give you 7.
I still think Utah's one guy away.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. They have to pull off some kind of trade because they're not much of a free agent destination. But if someone went there along with Mitchell and Gobert, they would be really, really, really tough to beat. And they're going to give the Rockets a hard fought series, but I see the Rockets coming out.
Personally,
7.
Utah is coming. Utah coming. I'm going to take the Rockets. And that leads us to the 2-7 matchup. Oh,
this is an
speaking of upset
for
alert.
sure, in my opinion.
Nope. Yeah, definitely. I covered both of these ones. And, these are both going to go definitely 6 or 7, if not both go the distance. But let's start off with the 2-7. And, man, if you couldn't have a bigger contrast in style and experience, that's what it is with the Denver Nuggets and the San Antonio Spurs. So I'm really excited to watch it.
The Nuggets, the last time they made the playoffs
2013.
Was it not the post? Was that the no, actually, that was the Iguodala year.
Yeah, I think they made the playoffs in 2013. They had like a seed, but then lost in the first round.
So it's been 6 years, and you got to go against the best coach you ever.
22 straight playoff appearances, man. That's incredible. Tying the record.
Yeah, I like San Antonio. I mean, I like how they are, but at the same time, they're inexperienced. Well, they're not inexperienced. I just think that they've been inconsistent. San Antonio has had their slumps. They've had their issues. They've lost, consecutive games. And they've lost a lot of they've gone through stretches where they've been dry. So I think that's interesting. But, Denver, man, Denver is one of those teams that just excites you.
Yeah, no, Denver has all the talent in the world, like Nikola Jokic, who just probably is going to make first team All-NBA, if not second, behind Joel Embiid as a center. So between him, Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, they have a really Will Barton as well. They have a really stacked young team. But the problem is that they don't have a lot of playoff experience at all. That none of those players have playoff experience. The only ones that really do on that team are Paul Millsap and Isaiah Thomas coming off the bench. So I think that's going to be the biggest X factor in this series is their lack of experience against the Spurs. And even though, listen, the Spurs lost Kawhi, but they got DeMar DeRozan back, and he's seasoned as well. He's looking like the leader for the Spurs. He's been their primary ball handler and distributor. So him along with Aldridge, who also made the All-Star team this year, surprisingly, yeah.
I just think that DeMar and LaMarcus, those two, they have to average, or they have to at least be consistent 30-point threats.
Yeah, 25 to 30.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't think they have enough. I don't see the offense coming from. I don't see a lot of offense being created by Rudy Gay or being created by Patty Mills. And sure, we're talking about this Popovich system, and it's supposed to be a team system that can create shots. But I think that when the game slows down, you need to give it to your bread and butter guys. And I think if you're already getting 30 from DeMar and 30 from LaMarcus, where are you going to get the rest of your points from?
Yeah, you're going to have to trust that Spurs system.
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus always averaging 30. They better be ready to pack their bags and go home. Because Patty Mills going to give you 15.
This is the most interesting matchup in the whole first round, in my opinion. This one.
No, definitely.
This is the ultimate test for Denver.
Yeah, this is the test to see if they've made the jump in terms of being one of the elite NBA teams, if they can get past this series. And man, it's a total contrast of style and play, and a total contrast of experience. So I see this one going the distance. I see it going to 7, but Denver having that home court advantage is going to be so huge throughout the playoffs, unless they go to the conference finals against the Warriors. But in this series, I think it'll be the deciding factor in a potential Game 7, and I think they'll have just enough talent and a little bit of that veteran leadership from Millsap and that home crowd. Man, it's hard to win in Denver. They had the best regular season home record, so I think that's a big factor going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Denver could take this in 7, but at the same time, my heart really wants to cheer for the Spurs. I don't know how many years Pop has, and just to see this history of Pop making the playoffs for, 22 consecutive seasons, it's just something to behold, first off. But I mean, talking basketball wise, I think that the Spurs are a dark horse team because we don't know which DeMar DeRozan is going to come out in the playoffs. I think that is going to be a key determinant on whether the Spurs can advance or not. Because we've seen DeMar DeRozan shrivel up. We saw what happened last year when he went against LeBron. And sure, there's no LeBron here, but you saw what happened. There are times where DeRozan can disappear. There's times when Aldridge can disappear. It depends on which Spurs team is going to come out. And it depends on if the Nuggets are ready. I think the hunger factor is there for the Nuggets. I just don't know if they're going to, shrivel under pressure. And then even then, will Pop insert the right pieces at the right time? Is Mike Malone's lack of experience going to show? It's the ultimate series in this first round.
A lot of questions and not a lot of answers. So
a lot of
I'm
questions.
excited. Whoa.
Spurs in 6.
I'd say Spurs in 7. I want Spurs in 7, but I'm going to say Nuggets in 7.
Yeah, I got Nuggets
Spurs
in
in
7,
7.
but I wouldn't be surprised if it
He's
went
not
to
gonna-
Spurs in 6, honestly.
He ain't gonna get to a 7 game. Spurs in 6. You don't better get Bill Belichick, and you don't
Yeah.
get Pop.
Yeah.
Westgate, probably the most interesting matchup in the playoffs is in the Western Conference. That 3-6 matchup. And for a team who was coming up getting swept last year, might find themselves getting beat again. And
Yeah.
Trailblazers.
Oh, man, I feel bad for the Trailblazers, man. I feel like sometimes they're a cursed franchise, especially when it comes to injuries, because, man, that Nurkic injury really hurt them at the end of the year. And it's going to be really interesting to see what the Trailblazers do in the wake of that. I mean, they've been doing a sort of offensive-defensive switch with Kanter coming in for most of the offense and then having, like, Myers Leonard and Al-Farouq Aminu come in for defense. But this entire series is going to be about the backcourt. And the Trailblazers obviously have Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum, two sharpshooters who some of the best guards overall in the league. But on the other side, the Thunder have Mr. Triple-Double and Paul George. So that's going to be the matchup to look at. Those four players are definitely going to provide more than 60 to 70% of the scoring. So it's going to be a really fun matchup. But I could see it going a little bit of the distance, but that Nurkic injury is going to really hurt the Thunder, hurt the Trailblazers, and help the Thunder down low. So,
yeah, I think
see.
this is a very important series for both. Both teams have actually not gotten out of the first round in a long time, or actually maybe the Blazers have. But Portland got swept last year. OKC got out in 6 last year, and if I'm Oklahoma, if we get bounced out of the first round, I don't know what I'm thinking of George and Russ together. I don't know if that's going to be sustainable because it's proven to not get as far come playoff time. And if I'm the Blazers, I'm thinking about moving either Damian Lillard or CJ McCollum because it's been consistent for, I don't know, half a decade, and it hasn't proven to work in the playoffs. So I just think that this series is very detrimental for the future of both teams. With that being said, I think the Thunder are more than capable of outscoring the Blazers. This is going to be, like you said, a matchup between those four guys. Mr. Triple-Double and Playoff P versus Lillard time and CJ. I think that it'll go to 7. I think that CJ will get you a game and Dame will get you a couple games. But I think Russ will get you 2 and PG will get you 2. I just also see the big man battle being won by the Thunder. I think Steven Adams will be great against the Blazers, who don't really have a threat inside. But keep in mind, the Blazers have a great bench. The Blazers are very deep. And I think the Thunder are very front five heavy. But they also have Schroeder coming off the bench. They have Marcus Morris, who has playoff experience. So, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
And also Portland's bench as well. I really like Portland's bench. Having Seth Curry coming off, being the 3-point shooter, they can be knocking down things in the playoffs. And Al-Farouq Aminu, who's one of the most versatile big men in the league, he can provide an impact on both ends. So yeah, I think this series features two teams with a lot of talent on it. So I agree. I think it's going to go to 7. And Russell and Paul, they both have to, like Harden and Chris, they have to try and avenge their postseason demons in the past and not play hero ball and fold under the pressure. So they looked much better this year together, considering the fact that Westbrook led the league in assists, which was really impressive, en route to his 3rd straight triple-double, which is just even more insane. And Playoff P, he's got to live up to that nickname because he definitely hasn't earned it yet. So it's going to be really a fun and interesting matchup. But I see it going 7, and I eventually see the Thunder squeaking it out, mainly because of that Nurkic injury at the end.
They just can't get Nurkic for the playoffs, can they?
Guess not.
Nope.
That's tough. 2 years straight, you can't have.
I'm telling you, the Blazers are cursed when it comes to injuries.
Yeah, I mean, it started with Greg, right? Or it started with Brandon Roy.
Yeah, Roy and then Greg, and it's been a lot of bad stuff. But we'll see if the other people can step it up.
Dame Lillard, he just like Kemba Walker. We just want to see what he can do when he's actually on a winning team.
Well, at least they make the playoffs in the West, which is good. Kemba hasn't even got to sift the playoffs, but yeah, Dame. It sucks that he has to get bounced in the first round a lot, and play against this year a really really tough 6 seed. But it just shows how wild the West has been and how stacked it is 1 through 8.
I just think Dame and Kyrie are the same player. They have the same type of situation too. Both kind of talented rosters, but have trouble in the playoffs within their own team. I think if Dame was a second guy, he'll be able to play that Kyrie role. But I don't know. I think we need to see a guy like Dame or Kyrie win a championship, and then we can prove that. Because if not, then Dame will be forever a number 1 option that never won a championship.
CJ McCullough, speaking of playoff being, CJ McCullough seems like he's shrinking in the playoffs.
I mean, yeah. CJ's not a consistent guy. CJ got locked up by Drew Holiday. I mean, both of them got locked up by Drew Holiday.
Drew's a tough guy to get past, and that's the thing. A lot of teams have a good guards, two-way shooting guards that can guard the other end. So, if that's going to be Ferguson in this Thunder series, so that's going to be an interesting matchup. But I'm really hyped to see what Damian Lillard versus Russell Westbrook is going to be like. And in the end, I think Russell Westbrook will come out on top in that matchup, and the Thunder will come out in the series.
Yeah, I think that's the key matchup. If Dame can somehow get his own and be able to beat them, or if the Blazers win by Dame beating the Thunder, then that's probably the blueprint, because they don't have much offensive threat other than Dame and CJ.
Yeah.
Russell, all he does is get the
Yeah,
that is true.
He just felt like getting a 20-20-20 triple-double.
Just for Nip, RIP.
Yep, rolling 60s.
That was insane.
Like, so you just woke up and decided, I'm just going to 20 triple doubles? That's actually
Yeah,
possible.
that was like when Chris Paul scored 61 and then missed the last free throw for his grandfather who passed away at 61.
Yeah, that
Man,
was
when stuff like that happens, especially in basketball, it's great to see, and it's part of why we love the game.
it's powerful, man. It's art, it's expression, it's everything.
Not to mention Paul George was a part of the MVP conversation not too long ago.
Yeah, I'd still have him in my top. I think he's the third, still up there. You could argue other people, but I think overall he had a pretty good season. I know the team sort of struggled towards the end, but he's definitely in the top 5, if not the top 3 for MVP candidates. Considering
Who is this? Who's this, Russ or Paul?
Paul.
But that went against LeBron, they thought LeBron was going to get beat.
Yeah.
That Paul George we seen.
Well, here's
That's
my
the
question.
Indiana
Who do you
Paul
think is making your first team, your first 5?
For all NBA?
Yeah, for all NBA.
Oof. Definitely.
Yeah.
So if we do 3, we'll do 3 front court, 2 back court. I would say Giannis for sure would be us 3 for sure. We all agree with that. Would you say Harden?
Harden in the backcourt, definitely. And I
Gotta
think
be
Curry is the number 1 point guard, probably.
Okay, we'll put Curry. I'll put Russ in there.
Yeah, you could argue it.
And then I'll for my front court, I'll put Kawhi in there. I think he's proven himself to be the best two-way player in the NBA. I'm not sure if maybe his maintenance games are going to penalize him, but I think he's a front court mate.
See, I could see either Kevin Durant or Paul George making it just because of the amount of games that he rested, and the voters might take a little off of that for him. He was amazing, but Katie and Paul George had both amazing seasons and are almost as good as two-way guards as Kawhi is. So we'll see if the load management rests will come into a factor for that forward position, but it's going to be a really hard-earned position at the small forward.
That is true, but I would put Kawhi, Paul George, Giannis, Harden, and Westbrook.
Curry, Harden, Giannis.
Well, what about center? Because I'm thinking Jokic.
I'm going.
Oh, that's true. You could put Jokic in there too.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, it depends how you mess with the front court, but I think the rule is: do you have to have one center like a Jokic anymore, or can you just have the best the front court players?
Well, I mean, if you count Anthony Davis as a center, then yes, I believe that would be the center move. But I was always under the impression that Anthony Davis was a 4.
Yeah, I mean he could play either, but we'll see because it's
we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But anyway, as I get ready to close out, OKC in 6.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah, I agree.
I hated them. Love Dame Lillard's game.
I see OKC in 7.
Like, they just have that look. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it went all the way back to not taking MJ, and it's cursed them ever since.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's going all right that way.
Yep.
AJ beat them in the finals.
Yeah.
It's just, and plus, Russell Westbrook and Paul George, they mad about what happened last year.
Oh, without question, they are mad about what happened last year. They're lucky they're not going against Utah this year.
Yeah.
I think all would prefer going against Utah because I'm pretty sure they mad. They still mad.
The thing is with Oklahoma is they're that one team that always has a great on-paper talent, but it just never seems to translate towards the playoffs. And I don't know if it's because of Westbrook, but I'm starting to think it's really Westbrook that needs to be the engine, and he's not able to carry.
Yeah, he just can't play that. He can't play that hero ball that he tries to do at the end of games. He has to try and stick to balancing the game out. But that's the thing. We still haven't really seen that post Kevin Durant, and this is the first full year that him and Paul George got to play together. So we'll see if the regular season can translate to the postseason for Russell Westbrook this time.
Absolutely, and we're not saying at all that he's not a winner, because he has had playoff success with Durant. He made it to the finals with Durant and Harden. So we're not saying he's not a winner, but we may not. I don't think he's a particularly great leader in that sense. But it'll be interesting. We need to see how he handles this playoff.
So we all got the Bucks winning, the Raptors winning, Boston winning, and
Yes.
Philly.
Yes.
So
We all got the Warriors.
yeah.
Yes.
We all got Houston. 2-1 OKC.
I got OKC.
All three.
Yeah, I got OKC as well. So
Okay. And the only difference is I'm the only.
Yeah,
one
I'm
that's
giving
not-
Pop his credit. I'm having faith in Pop.
no, definitely. If he's the only one of them out of this lot to pull off the upset, I think it's him, and his experience is going to be so vital. But
Yeah.
even though we went all chalk with each other, I think we can all agree that these matchups are pretty intriguing and are going to be very good regardless. I think it can be very close either ways in a lot of these series, which is going to make for a really exciting playoffs, because I haven't felt this way about the first round in a pretty long time.
It's the first round. The NBA playoffs are here. The fun just continues on. So we'll be back sometime next week. I don't know yet what time that will be, but we'll be back to continue the coverage of the NBA playoffs. So enjoy the weekend, enjoy the playoffs, and LeBron, enjoy these months off.
Savage.
Yep. Enjoy. You'll see Toronto. LeBronto is gonna win.
Over. Oh man, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed as well. It's gonna be a fun opening series.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a nice day at the bar. It's gonna be a wonderful weekend.
And don't forget, check out our articles on the NBA playoffs on Unfiltered Access.